What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overlord here. So we got our first look at M3GAN, the upcoming horror movie, AI horror movie, coming to theaters next January. And this is pretty impressive, honestly, from what I'm seeing in the poster. This doll looks incredible in the sense of it really is unsettling, and it's the realism of it, I think, is what's making it so unsettling. And I really can't wait to see how this actually is conveyed on screen in the movie itself. This is coming to us from Blumhouse, produced by Blumhouse and James Wan. So with James Wan being involved, I would say in some capacity with the narrative, then maybe we'll get something that's hopefully a new fan favorite amongst us horror geeks. But again, it's coming to theaters next January, and we got our first poster for it at CinemaCon this week. And this movie is going to be starring Allison Williams, who many of you might know from Get Out, who played Rose, and she will be starring in the film, and she will be executive producing the movie. And again, that's arriving January 13th of 2023. So M3GAN is going to be following Allison's character of Gemma, a brilliant roboticist at a toy company. She uses artificial intelligence to develop M3GAN, a lifelike doll programmed to be a kid's greatest companion and a parent's greatest ally. After unexpectedly gaining custody of her orphan niece, Gemma enlists the help of the M3GAN prototype, a decision that has unimaginable consequences. It says here, Kayla Cooper wrote the script that is based on a story by James Wan, and Gerard Johnston will direct the film. So again, this poster, and shout out to you Chris, 3C Films. I see that Bloody Disgusting in this article actually used your tweet, so that's amazing. But again, this doll, it looks very intimidating. And you know, I already put up a little tweet, or not a tweet, but a post in the community section talking about Chucky getting his wig snatched, because if this movie is effective, you know, because I know Chucky is tired. Chucky, he's been dominating, you know, the doll horror for quite some time. He's been the strongest one out of the bunch. You know, Annabelle, I guess you could say, is in there, but Annabelle's not moving on her own. There's something controlling her. With M3GAN has the potential to give Chucky that break. Also, Tiffany better watch out just in case. But I can't wait to see what happens with this movie, because I'm liking this approach that we're getting as it pertains to exploring like a lot of modern technology in the world, and using it in the horror genre, like artificial intelligence, and how we're becoming overly reliant on that and technology in and of itself, and then giving us these exaggerated stories of how being too reliant on technology can have its downsides. Of course, in the horror genre, they're exacerbating it and being exaggerated a bit more with this doll, who basically, yes, I would say is an upgrade of Chucky. Chucky was a product of his time, and it was effective when it came out in the late 80s. So I hope we get something like that with M3GAN. And I know a lot of people are already comparing this to the Child's Play remake that came out in 2019, I believe. But I think that this movie here has the ability of being a lot more effective than that movie, and I think it just overall will have better quality altogether. So I can't wait to see how this plays out. I can't wait to see what goes down in the movie, and what M3GAN can bring to the table, and how this AI doll is going to cause all this mayhem and terror, and just what she can do in this genre as it pertains to killer dolls, I would say, for the horror genre. Because I know I've seen people talk about that movie Dolly Dearest, which I haven't seen that movie in so many years, but I remember when I watched it growing up. I used to watch Dolly Dearest all the time, and I still love that movie. It's just one of those movies that over time, as you got older, you just don't watch them as much, but you still know you love them. Which, with that in mind, I'll have to check out Dolly Dearest very shortly, just to get caught up on that, and for the nostalgia purposes, because I used to love Dolly Dearest. And that's another thing I was thinking of when I saw this poster last night. I was just like, wow. And I know I've seen people already joking about this being one of the Olsens. No, it's not her. It's not her. But you know, M3GAN coming out January 2023. What do you guys want to see from this? Are you thinking this will be able to become the next Chucky? Do you think that M3GAN has the potential of surpassing what Annabelle has already tried to do, even though I don't think Annabelle has actually achieved that status? Because again, the doll itself is not moving. There's a demon associated with the doll. So with this, depending on how the movements and everything go with M3GAN, you know, that could also make or break if people actually want to see a franchise surrounding this. Not to say that you need to turn everything into a franchise. I mean, sure, you could have a one and done, and she can still become an icon, much like Chucky, because word of mouth is going to do a lot more good than just cranking out a lot of sequels that may or may not be living up to this movie that we actually, of course, have not yet to see will be good in its entirety yet either. We haven't gotten an official trailer or teaser or anything, but I just am excited to see what this movie does for this subgenre of movie making that's been going on for quite some time, because even the Child's Play reboot isn't the first AI type of movie that's been explored that's been a success. I love how movies are exploring AIs and how they can backfire on us, and being these overly exaggerated narratives about how we shouldn't be too reliant on technology. These movies are just good reminders to me to not be too reliant on things that I use as a human. Keep in mind how capable I am as myself. Be able to sustain a lot of things in my own life. Don't rely too much on technology for things that I can still do on my own, because I might end up in a position where I think M3GAN is a good idea. I've seen a lot of wild things people have thought will happen with this movie as it pertains to this doll. Some really out there in the sense of just the way the doll looks. I've seen some sex toy jokes, and to each its own. I don't think it's gonna get that wild in the movie. I don't think there's gonna be anything like that where anyone's trying to have sex with the doll. I hope not. If anything, that might be one of the more comedic moments. But M3GAN arriving in theaters 2023 of January. I really hope that this somehow manages to become the next wave of an iconic character that can be talked about, like Chucky, like Annabelle. And with James Wan behind it, I just have a lot of faith in what we will get in terms of, not necessarily saying that he's had the most influence on it, but his name associated with it always sends some reassurance to us horror fans, given that we know that he's a proven director and filmmaker in the horror genre. But let me know what you guys think about M3GAN down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, of course, make sure you subscribe, turn on post notifications, and miss a video. In the description, I have links to my social media accounts, some on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there, of course, and if there's any movies, news, or reviews you'd like me to cover in the future. And with all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.